What is up, maniacs? Welcome to another Twilight Masquerade TCG guide. This time we're going to be looking at Pinsir, which is the third card in the Twilight Masquerade set. Is it competitive? Is it collectible? Let's find out. Pinsir has 110 HP. It's not particularly great for a basic Pokemon that doesn't evolve. You've got the likes of Greninja EX in the format now. It's going to easily KO Pinsir with its 120 damage attack. So if you've got two Pinsirs on the bench, they're both going to get KO'd easily. So, you know, the new benchmark for a basic Pokemon doesn't evolve is going to be over 120 now, I'm afraid. So that makes Pinsir's HP not particularly great. But there is potentially a card that I'll show you later on that can negate this. And I think it works really well and synergizes really well with Pinsir. In terms of its attacks, its second attack, Superpowered Horns, not particularly good. 100 damage for free energy. It's just too much energy for not enough damage. You're going to be KOing basic Pokemon, but that's about it. Slow Crunch, however, is actually a good attack. It requires 2 energy, and you can discard the energy from the Pokemon, and at the end of the opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon will get knocked out. That forces the opponent to have to switch their Pokemon out to avoid it getting KO'd. So if you've done that to an EX or a 2-prizer, then that Pokemon is going to get knocked out, and even if it knocks your Pinsir out, then you're still winning the prize trade because they'll have gotten 1 prize from Pinsir and you're going to get 2 prizes from their 2-prizer. So Slow Crunch is really good, and very similar to Hisuian Zoroark. Zoroark is definitely better because Doom Curse does the exact same thing, except for it costs no energy. So I remember playing against this deck and I lost to it a few times, so it was quite a good deck. Pinsir, however, it isn't quite as good as Zoroark because it requires 2 energy and you have to discard that energy at the end. There are ways to mitigate this, so there is a new energy card in the set, which I'll go through in a minute, which synergizes well with Slow Crunch. Its retreat cost of 2 isn't great. Ideally you want 1, especially when it's got such low HP. It's not able to pivot as well. You can't pivot in set up Pokemon at the start of the game, so it's not particularly good. Taking a look at Pinsir from a collector's point of view, there is this illustration rare version of the card. I really like the artwork, and I'll put the pricing on screen for you now. So there is one Pokemon that synergizes really well with Pinsir, and that is Spidops EX. So Spidops has Trap Territory ability, which essentially increases your opponent's retreat cost by 1 energy. So that's really good and synergizes really well with Pinsir's attack. This is also a nice bulky Pokemon, and can also do good damage once you've got a number of Spidops out on the field. So it's a really good support Pokemon, good support attacker, good support ability. Let's now take a look at some trainer cards that are going to synergize well with Pinsir. Survival Brace. This synergizes well with Pinsir because Pinsir is likely to get 1 hit KO'd. So if you attach a Survival Brace onto it, then it's essentially going to survive with 10 HP. And if you also play Penny in the deck, then you can retrieve that Pinsir and the attached cards, including Survival Brace, back into the hand, promote another Pinsir, and then reattach Survival Brace. So you're avoiding giving out any prize cards. Obviously, this isn't going to work particularly well if you get poisoned or you get burnt, or you get any extra damage during checkup. But Survival Brace is going to pair really well, synergizes well with Pinsir, and like I said, with Penny. Eerie is another good card, so obviously we want to trap your opponent's Pokemon in the active. Obviously you're using Spidops to increase the retreat costs, which means they can't use energy to retreat their active Pokemon, but they could use item cards like Switch or Switch Cart to retreat their Pokemon. So using Eerie is going to help you remove those cards from the hand, so again further preventing them from retreating their potentially 2 prizes from the active. Calamitous Wasteland is a really good stadium, synergizes well with Pinsir's attack. It synergizes really well with Spidops, so this will increase your opponent's retreat cost again by another energy. It is worth pointing out this is only on basic non-fighting Pokemon, so bear that in mind. You will need to play Artisan because obviously you can't Buddy Poffin for a Pinsir because it has 110 HP. So you're going to need to play Artisan to get it out on the field, and obviously pair that with Nest Balls. Bug Catching set, I think this card is probably going to come up in all of the grass cards that I run through. So in the last video with Tangular and Tangrowth, we recommended bug catching set. It's going to be the same for Pinsir. This is going to essentially help you get more Pinsirs out on the board, so working alongside Nestball and Artisan, and it's also going to get you that energy to power up the slow crunch attack, which requires 2 energy. If you pair that with Gardenia's Vigor, then you're able to attach the 2 energy required to power up Pinsir's attack, but you can also draw 2 cards off the back of that. So again, Gardenia's Vigor is a really good card that synergizes well here. Like I've already mentioned, Penny is a really good card that synergizes well with the kind of strategy for Pinsir. So you can retreat back into the hand your Pinsir that has 10 HP remaining because of Survival Brace. You'll also take back the Survival Brace. You can then replay that Pinsir onto the bench, promote one of your other Pinsers into the active, and attach the Survival Brace onto that Pinsir. So Penny's really useful and going to make it difficult for your opponent to take prize cards. In terms of energy, Boomerang energy works really well here, synergizes really well with Pinsir. Pinsir requires 1 grass and 1 colourless energy. So you can fulfill the colourless energy with Boomerang energy, and every time you do the slow crunch attack, this energy is going to return back onto your Pinsir. So you essentially just need to attach a grass energy each and every turn to get those knockouts with Pinsir's attack. So it's still not quite as good as Zoroark, but you're essentially reducing the amount of energy you need to power that attack to 1 rather than 2. So it's getting closer to being as good as Zoroark. And then of course, it's a grass type Pokemon, you have to play grass energy. That's obviously a no-brainer. So what's our final verdict on Pinsir? Pinsir is actually quite a good card. You can form a deck around it. I'm not saying that that deck is going to be in the meta, you're not going to see a lot of people playing it, but you can build a deck around this and it can get knockouts and 2 prize knockouts. So that means we're going to give this a C tier ranking. It does have some use, you're just not going to see it in a lot of play. And that just about rounds up our guide on Pinsir. Let us know in the comments if there are any cards that we may have missed that synergize well with this card and you could incorporate into decks. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed the content, follow our channel. We'll be outputting the rest of the cards in the Twilight Masquerade set in future videos. Also check out our Tangular and Tangrowth video, which are the first 2 cards in the set. Until next time, that's me shuffling out again.